Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be discussing what I would like to see changed in Chapter 6 that would fix Fortnite. If you guys happen to enjoy this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing and using code WATSOG in the Fortnite item shop. Also remember, at 2,000 subscribers, I'm going to be ranking every single Fortnite skin, so make sure to subscribe. Let's get straight into the video. So, as I said in the intro, there's obviously been a lot of negative sentiments surrounding Chapter 5 of Fortnite. And I will say, it's for a good reason. There's been a lot of bad changes made this chapter, such as locker rarity, bullet drop being added to weapons, the movement change, that was kind of fixed. It was kind of, the movement's still not back to where it was, but whatever, it's fine. And the biggest issue obviously being the locker UI as a whole, because the locker is just, it's bad. It is not in a good state right now. And I hope they kind of fix it with Chapter 6. Which I guess will get us into our first point. The locker UI needs to be fixed in Chapter 6. There is no way that's not getting fixed. There was a leak about them working on the locker UI. However, the leak was just giving you the ability to scroll through the tabs instead of having to select one, which isn't enough to fix the locker in my opinion. A lot of the issues with the locker is just that everything is separated into the different tabs in the first place. Yeah, maybe you could get away with separating Battle Royale, Rocket Racing, and Festival into separate tabs, and then I guess Lego Kits could be a different tab, I guess, I don't know. But there's no reason emotes and wraps in the lobby should not be just bundled in with the Battle Royale stuff. It was like that before, and as far as I'm aware, stuff like that is primarily Battle Royale. Skins and stuff and pickaxe and stuff like that, that stuff's all Battle Royale cosmetics. Sure, you can use skins in any game mode, but they're primarily for Battle Royale. Same with wraps and emotes and stuff like that, just like how the instruments are primarily Festival and the cars are primarily Rocket Racing. And the Lego kits are just Lego. You can only use them in Lego. So yeah. If I had to just say one thing that needs to be fixed in Chapter 6, it's definitely the locker UI. Just put all the Battle Royale stuff to how it was before they changed it. Maybe just update the graphics, I guess, a little bit to how it looks in Chapter 5, but other than that, layout entirely the same. And then have two other tabs, or I guess 3 other tabs for Lego kits, but no one cares about Lego kits. We have a Rocket Racing tab, which is the car. Just put the 2 different cars on the same tab. They shouldn't be 2 different tabs. Have your sports car and your SUV stacked on top of each other, and then you could just have a check mark box that'd be oh, I want this to be as my primary car for Rocket Racing, I don't know why it's 2 separate tabs, gonna be honest. And then Festival, obviously have all your instruments, the aura, which is with the character with the skin for some reason, which is kind of weird. I don't know why it's like that. And then jam tracks underneath that, I think that's a good way to organize everything. And then Lego kits should just be how Lego kits are, because no one cares about them, Second thing I want to bring up is hit scan, because hit scan is not in the game anymore for the most part. I don't think there's any guns in the game right now that have hit scan, but there was a few Chapter 5 weapons throughout the course of this chapter that have had hit scan, such as the Fallout rifle. So obviously they're not afraid to bring hit scan back in some shape or form, but I just think every gun should go back to hit scan, The ARs just don't feel that good to use without hit scan, in my opinion. Especially when you have stuff like the Monarch pistol, or the DMR, or the snipers especially, which have bullet drop off too, but do so much more damage, and you're just gonna get a heavier shot off on them. Because most likely with an AR, you're gonna get 2 or 3 shots off, which is about 60-ish damage, maybe 90 depending on the AR you're using. And then they're gonna build up, and then, oh, sorry, you didn't get that. Like a sniper, you're gonna deal at least 100 damage, and their shield's gonna be gone, and they all have bullet drop. So it just kind of makes the ARs redundant. Granted, it's not as bad this season because we have the Monarch pistol, which is good, don't get me wrong, but it's no sniper, You're getting around the same damage output with the Monarch pistol as you would with an AR. So it's not as bad this season, But I also think SMGs having bullet drop is kind of dumb, because why? You're using them up close anyways. They're an up close weapon. So why they have bullet drop, I don't know. It's just weird. It just makes them way more limiting, because yes, SMGs are meant to be up close, but it doesn't hurt trying to use them long range when you're out of AR ammo, It just kind of removes that utility, because not only are SMGs just really inaccurate, the bullet drop's going to make it harder to hit those shots too. So, I just think they should revert it. Also, not to mention that when you're adding bullet drop to this game, you're raising the skill ceiling by quite a bit. And in a game like Fortnite, where the skill ceiling is already pretty high with building, I don't think you should be doing that, It makes it harder for new players to get in the game, and I think that's why Fortnite kind of struggled to hold the OG players. Sure, Season 1 had a good amount of OG players, and Season 2 carried a few more. But Season 3, it was basically back to Chapter 4 numbers, and Season 4, it's picked up a little bit, but it's still nowhere near as close as the OG numbers, or even Chapter 5, Season 1 numbers, And I definitely think it has to do with bullet drop just adding a higher skill ceiling that was not needed whatsoever, And I just want to briefly mention weapon mods, because my problem with weapon mods aren't the mods themselves, it's how they're kind of acquired. So weapon mods, you can find them on any gun across the map, but you can't customize your weapon mods unless you find a bunker with a mod bench. The bunkers spawn in the second or third storm circle, which wouldn't be a problem if they weren't all like on the edges of the map, meaning half the bunkers that are going to open aren't even going to be in the circle. They're going to be in storm already. Not to mention that there's a good chance that they're just going to be chained off and they're not going to open whatsoever. So it is very possible for you to get a game where you're not going to be able to go to a bunker unless you want to tank a bunch of storm damage. So that's not a good thing, especially when weapon mods outside of scopes don't really change that much. Like, scopes are like the only one that really do that because they're scopes, you know? Using an AR with a scope is going to be a lot more beneficial than using one without one, you know? I just think if they want to keep weapon mods in the game, mod benches have to be easily accessible at every single POI. But like 2 or 3 around each POI starting in Chapter 6, and you're good. There's obviously a chance that they just don't bring weapon mods back. They didn't bring augments back, even though there's a leak to come back in Chapter 5. But they didn't bring those back, and those were kind of like Chapter 4's gimmicks. So there's a good chance that weapon mods just don't come back in Chapter 6 whatsoever, which I wouldn't be too mad about. One thing I also don't really like about weapon mods is that kind of limits the kind of weapons they can add. Because back then, in Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, and Chapter 4, you know, there was a lot more variety because the weapon attachments were part of the weapon themselves. Like the suppressed AR, that's a suppressor on an AR, you know, that's like a different weapon. You also have, like, all the suppressed weapons are like different weapons, but you can't really bring back a suppressed weapon nowadays because, well, what happens if you just take off the suppressor? You know? And then what happens if you bring back the normal version, like the suppressed AR, bring back the normal AR, just put a suppressor on it? Kind of defeats the whole point, you know? So I just think weapon mods just leave a lot to be desired with new weapons. It kind of makes them forced to play like the same. Like, for example, in Chapter 5, the ARs, a lot of them have just been spammy ARs, like the Striker AR, the Combat AR, and the Warforged AR. They're all just spammy ARs. They're the same concept, which is kind of weird. And yeah, that's what I think they should fix about Chapter 6. I don't have a lot because I actually think Chapter 5 has been not horrible, you know? I just think there's been a lot of bad changes that have tainted how people view this chapter. I think the gameplay as a whole has been alright, not my favorite chapter, but I don't think it's my least favorite. If I'd have to choose a least favorite, it's probably Chapter 3, I'm gonna be honest. I know that's a hot take, but, you know, that's just my opinion. Alright, if you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing and using code WATSOG in the Fortnite item shop. Also remember, at 2,000 subscribers, I'm going to be ranking every single Fortnite skin, so make sure to subscribe. Alright, see you in the next one. Later.